I'm going to be showing you probably the strongest combination when it comes to armor within the game of Monster Hunter Wilds, and it fits quite literally every build. Now, annoyingly, my grid, as in this face, is on the wrong side. Arkveld probably has the strongest combination of skills and gear within the game. Not only does it come at the highest defense once you have it all maxed out, it is 391, which hopefully you can see just behind my Bowgun grid over here. Decent amount of fire res, dragon res, air. The only thing that really hits you with dragon in this game at the moment is Arkveld, and to be fair, you can inflict so many wounds on him that I'm actually surprised he's capable of standing. With the group that I play with, we have a running joke of Arkveld, where are you looking? Because he doesn't hit anyone, he just falls over and repeat. So, probably one of the best combinations anyway, we'll get back on track, is Guardian Arkveld helmet, the Ark Vulcan chest, Guardian Arkveld gloves, waist, and legs. There are a few combinations to this depending on what you're wanting to do. And if you want to just go for straight one or the other, go for it. Just be warned, the Ark Vulcan has the group perk of monster targets you more. As you can see with this, I have Flayer at 5, Weakness Exploit at 3, and then Covert Element, Part Breaker, and Quick Sheath at 1. The Flayer is from the Charm, which we swap over to Weakness Exploit and then come back out and then show the skills again. We now have Weakness Exploit 5, Flayer 3. The reason it's set up this way is that depending on what decos you get, well, whether you're lucky or not. From here, depending on what you want, we'll go to helmet and we can just put in some Flayer decos. There you are. We're now at Weakness Exploit 5 and Flayer 5. If you really want and you're so inclined, you can put your Destroyer or Part Breaker to 3. We have an extra tier 3 decoration here, which we can put counterattack in, Challenger, Throttle, Chain if you want. There are a few mix-ups with this that you can do to incorporate Chain. I personally wouldn't recommend it, but just to show, I'm aware a lot of people seem to like Chain, but we can swap that around. That now gives us, we just exploit 5, Burst 2, Flayer 2. So now you have like the choice of what you would want to do. I would say stick with Weakness Exploit 5. Weakness Exploit is still the strongest skill in the game. Has been since like Monster Hunter 3, for crying out loud. But now if you really want, you can put Chain up to like level 4. So we've now got Weakness Exploit 5, Burst 4, Flayer 2. Flayer does seem to be the stronger in the late game. I don't care. Every YouTuber is going on about Burst. It's compared to Flayer, it is weak. Compared to Flayer, it is a strong skill. Compared to Flayer, it is weak. All right, anyway, from here, so you want to do potentially a ranged, like bowgun, for example. Okay, so just because I don't know why it bothers me this way around it. Like, I would like to have Tenderizer slotted in for some weird reason. So there's my Tenderizer. I'm now at Weakness Exploit 5, Flayer 5. With bowguns, you can normally get a pretty decent amount of uptime on your maximum might. So going 3 maximum might, that's another 30% affinity. Okay, so we can just... So Weakness Exploit is 30 against weak points, and then another 20 against wounds. Flayer massively makes it significantly easier to inflict wounds. Also deals much more additional non-elemental damage. That non-elemental damage is upon inflicting enough damage at certain points, you will just see like a 400 or 500 just number just appear. That's just Flayer happening. Okay, we then have another 30% affinity while active. So we have 50, 60, 70, 80% affinity, depending on what weapon you've got. You can easily make up that 20%. If not, just stick with 80 and start stacking into critical hit damage. Covert Element, After taking a certain amount of elemental damage, you'll now have like a slight dragon element to your attacks. Part Breaker is really good if you want to go down the Part Breaker route. However, for bowguns, I actively don't recommend it. Yes, breaking that parts will give you more damage. However, bows and bowguns are absolutely exceptional at when that monster decides it's had enough to fly away or run away. At range, if your melee guys can't get there, you will want those wounds there still ready to break, to stagger them, to stop them from running or flying away. Obviously, flash bombs also do exist. So destroying those wounds really, really quickly is a huge increase in damage, but it can also mean a huge increase in hunt time because you've got to chase the guy halfway across the map. Some people might not be bothered by this. It's something I personally don't like to do. I'd rather have the affinity, but that's just me. Quick Sheath, absolutely outstanding for something like a heavy bowgun. Then we have Guardian Arkvel's Vitality. We're at 3 of these. This will restore a moderate amount of health when destroying a wound on a large monster. This is actually pretty handy and it's like just a spare heal me now kit. Arkvel's Hunger regenerates a small amount of your health as you continually attack the monster. The recovery does vary between weapons. With heavy bowgun, it takes around 5 shots. Like actual ammo consumptions. This isn't taking into account pierce ticks or normal rapid fire. Will take about 5 shots for you to get, I'd say it's about 10% health roughly at 2 out of 4. Then we have Arkvel's Protection. This is your group, so it reduces element and unique damage while in the ruins of Wyveria. Unique damage is what is, I believe it's just called the Guardian Burst. You know the Guardian monsters, they'll do their normal attack, and then after the normal attack there'll be like a ground explosion of white. That's the unique damage. However, one thing to be wary of is the reason we are wearing 3 Guardian and 2 Ak Vulcan is quite simply because if we look at the Ak Vulcan group setting, it's increased the attention drawn to you when attacking the monsters. So I've been quite specific about this with my heavy bowgun build to not go for it. This is basically our damage setup here. From here, we can then go into, I suppose what you could call more sort of utility. A really, really awesome one to throw in is Growth. I'm going to throw that in because it's on like a previous build. Growth is absolutely amazing. Attack and defense is increased while time passes. The maximum is reached around 30 minutes. I don't think you'd be taking 30 minutes, but it does tick as time passes. The moment you enter a quest, it's not a huge amount, but it's just more attack. It is more damage. And compared to other things or 1-slot decos that you can put into your armor, there's not really a lot going on, I'm afraid. I've seen on some builders this site that for some weird reason, and I've seen people make builds up for it, you can put attack decos in here. As you can see now, I've now got an attack deco in my armor. I just want to point something out, right? Here's all of my level 1 decos. I've done a decent chunk of farming and grinding. Obviously, you've got like a few that are still at like 1. I've only got 1 of them. Like, I doubtless I have everything, but I would find it very strange how I've got 5 attack dual 3s, but I haven't got a single attack dual 1 to put in my armor. Obviously, RNG exists, but you never know. I haven't found them yet. I'm pretty sure they don't exist. Sorry. Next thing for like a heavy bowgun. I am a heavy bowgun main, by the way. I will be going over other things. I'm just going to be showing like how you can set this up for a few different things. So from here, as a heavy bowgun weirdo, we've got Shockproof. Disables damage reactions when you hit a friend or when a friend hits you. This is basically like Brace, but it works kind of like team-wide. As long as like you're the one being interacted with or interacting, this will work. Being the fact that I'm a heavy bowgun main, and I like to just sit back, point, and just spray bullets everywhere. I don't care if you're in my way. This kind of negates you essentially having to run something like Brace, or what we used to run as Brace. Would still recommend doing it, simply because everyone loves that longsword user that just stands there and goes, yeah, great. Isn't he fun? We got our weakness exploit, our flayer, our maximum might, We've got a little bit of part breaker, self-improvement, and shock absorber. Weird thing for me, but one thing I've been running a lot of lately is actually 3 medicine. I don't actually get hit a lot, surprisingly. I learned how to dodge back in 2004 on Monster Hunter 1. It's now 2025, so yeah, humble brag from me. I don't tend to get hit a lot, so if I do get hit, I would rather just take a potion. This turns my normal potions essentially into like a mega potion, and it turns my mega potions into, yeah, somebody absolutely stop me. That being said, medicine also seems to be working with the Decimator and Arkveld's Hunger. So the healing you would get from these two is also affected by, or takes effect from, medicine, which leaves this one lonely little slot here. And because heavy bowgun is slow, we're going to do that and put quick sheath to level 3. This is just something that I would run as a heavy bowgun. This works perfectly well. I will be doing an update video to show some of these in action. Now, I said in the title that this will work for all builds. Would this really work for all builds? Well, let me show you. This is another variant of it with Divine Blessing. Basically the exact same thing. Here's the decos. We've got Adapt in here as well, which means that I no longer have to take hot or cold drinks when moving to environments. And then all we've done is swap out the healing for Divine Protection. Slight change here on this one. We're actually running 3-piece of the Arc Vulcan, but it gives us Weakness Exploit, Peak Performance, Flayer, Divine Blessing, Covert Flame, Convert Flame, Part Breaker, Quick Sheath, and Shock Absorber. Again, I learned how to dodge. Maybe you don't want to run Peak Performance. There are many options here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 level 2 decos that we can run around and try with. Maybe you want to try some Maximum Might with a bit of refreshing. Wouldn't recommend running Maximum Might on a Switch Axe, by the way. But we have Counter, we have Fura, where however we pronounce that. We have Destroyer, Phoenix, Ambush, Evasion, if you wanted. Switch Axe makes brilliant use of Evasion. And then, just in case you're thinking, oh, how would this work with a bow? That's perfectly fine. I haven't quite figured out what I want to do with the rest of the skills, but we've got Weakness Exploit, Constitution, and Flayer, all at level 5. Ballistics, Critical Element, Crit Boost. I believe we're at like 80% affinity with what I'm running on this build, which is this one. We also have a level 3 slot spare, which might confuse some people as to why I've put Throttle in. Due to the open world nature of this game, you actually can make brilliant use of Latent Power. Latent Power, I believe it's working the same. I've done a little bit of testing, but not fully. It's either activated by a certain amount of damage that you will take, or by a duration of time, and while it's active it lasts for about 2 minutes. While active it's another 10% affinity, and also reduces stamina depletion by 30%. Yeah. Latent Power on bow builds could potentially become a pretty good thing. And again, I've still got 2 level 2 deco slots spare to fit in. I'm actually not too sure what, to be honest. I don't really play bow as much, but yeah, I was actually thinking, because all we do is dodge, maybe get some peak performance in there just for some more damage. But essentially, I am having a difficult time trying to find anything in the game that is able to outperform Arkveld, whether it be Guardian or the Arc Vulcan, typically, in any way, shape or form, simply just because of the way in which the new decoration system works, of where you've got weapon decos and armor decos. Anyway, that is basically going to be it. I'm sorry there's not a lot of gameplay, sadly, due to the way in which this game is currently set up with its decoration system, as well as basically there being only one end game armor in the game, although it's split into 2 parts, Arc Vulcan and Guardian Arkveld. In terms of overall content, there's not going to be a lot for me to do. I've basically shown you there's only really one build in the entire game, which is annoying. I've ruined it already. Yeah. Anyway, have fun. Good luck. Don't die. It's bad for the health.